everyone, and welcome to the Infinity War, the Avengers Infinity War live spoilercast. I'm your host, Captain Logan, and Eric and I tonight are joined by our good friend, Jackson Rasco.
Hi.
And DJ.
Hey, what's up?
From some horrifying, shadowy location, it is once again DJ. DJ, you couldn't have planned that, dude. That is wild. You're
trying to get between the two lights.
He's in that house from Phenomena.
He does look like he's in the house from Phenomena. Stay tuned on the Omnibus for Phenomena, because whatever that was. Anyway, very strange horror film from 1985. How's everybody doing? It's good. It's good to be here. It's good to see everybody. We are broadcasting live for the first time in a long time with one of these spoiler casts. Lately, Eric and I have been just doing these as part of the Omnibus. This is also going to be fit into the Omnibus this week, of course. But we had a lot of requests to do this live. Eric and I were not able to talk about this last week like we had planned on. And so we thought we would make up for that a little bit by inviting a couple other people and doing a full-blown spoiler cast and a panel. So here is how tonight is going to work. First of all, we are going to time this out to be exactly an hour. So as soon as we're as we've gone 60 minutes, we're not going to be able to go any longer because Eric and I have the whole rest of the Omnibus to make right after this. And we're going to let you guys dictate, you guys that are here live right now anyway, dictate a lot of the show. And we're going to open up with our guests tonight and let them give us their general thoughts. Eric and I have already done that on how we felt about. And then after that, we're going to mostly just answer questions from you guys. So if there is a specific topic, specific aspect of the movie, question you have, something or a big opinion you want to express and get our take on, make sure that you get those to us. And if there's something that you really wanted us to talk about that we didn't talk about, we're going to blame it on you guys. It's going to be mostly the audience's fault. So what we want you guys to do tonight is send us your questions, your topics, your things that you're not sure about, curious about, opinions to Twitter or Facebook. So that's at Geekvolution on Twitter. It's Geekvolution just in the search on Facebook. And we're not going to be looking at the comments a lot tonight because I don't have a chat moderator and we just don't have the time. So if there's something you really want us to talk about, we're going to get to as many of those as humanly possible, either via Facebook. And Facebook, I want you to respond to the post that I just made about half an hour ago. So it's just the post at the top of the page, not the who reviews, the reviewers post. Ignore that. It's the one under that. And then on Twitter, you can tweet to us directly, or you can also respond to that message there on Twitter. Everybody know what we're doing. I do have the comments up, so I might occasionally refer to them, but don't put your questions to us there because that's not where I'll be
just
looking
tell us if we're
all the time. So yes, that would be good. Although these guys can hear us, so that seems unlikely. I saw a guy earlier in the comments who said that a friend of his said Red Skull was in the movie, and he didn't believe him. He thought he was just messing with him. And then he went to the movie. He's like, "Oh, holy crap! It is Red Skull."
Well, when we were in the theater, I was like, "Oh, that's neat." And then you were like, "Yeah, I was spoiled for me like 3 weeks ago."
Somehow I already knew about that. And I don't even know.
You said it was like an official article. It wasn't like somebody messaged you. You said it was like something you were reading.
I read something online, but I don't think it was like. I mean, I don't think Marvel spoiled it, but and there weren't critic screenings that early. I don't know how I knew that, but I knew that. And so Eric was like, "Oh wow," and I was like, "Yeah, it's Red Skull." I kind of knew it.
Wow.
Makes no sense, but it's nice that we tied up that lingering thread.
Yeah, and that other actor did a fine job. I thought he was all right.
And a lot of people had I've heard a number of people be like,
didn't know if
"Oh, it's interesting that Hugo Weaving came back."
Yeah, that would have been interesting, wouldn't it? I wish that had happened. So anyway, already getting pings from people, already getting Facebook messages and Twitter posts. You guys feel free to send those at any time during the show. And don't worry, we're not going to go a whole half hour before I start answering those. But I am going to give you guys, not the commenters, because that would be awkward and we would be doing a lot of sitting around, the floor. So let's begin with Jackson Rasco. And Rasco, how did you feel immediately? Do kind of a little how we felt about for us. How did you feel leaving the theater? And then what was your best thing and your worst thing after you've had some time to think about it?
Okay, leaving the theater, I was just like, I was very satisfied because it's kind of like, even though it's not really the end, it's not like the thing that we were building to in like this is the absolute finale of everything since the beginning of Marvel. It's not that, but it was very satisfying in like a conclusion to a 10-year waiting period to this movie, I guess. I don't know. I was just very satisfied with this movie. it's not my favorite Marvel movie, but it's probably my favorite of the Avengers movies, of the 3 we have so far, unless you want to count Civil War, but it's technically
which
not.
we do.
Yeah,
that is that counts. What is your favorite Marvel movie right now, Rasco?
Probably Iron Man 3.
Wow.
Yeah. I really thought he was going to throw a curveball and be like, I don't know, Incredible Hulk.
Or the Dark World. I hate
curveball. If you said that, we would have known you were lying, mostly because of Rasco, what's your best thing, worst thing, man?
It's really grown on me.
My best thing
is number one.
My best thing is I think this movie does a better job of any of the other Avenger team-up movies of kind of feeling like it didn't feel like we plucked all of these characters and dropped them into a big like team-up movie. It feels like this is naturally where all of the movies were going. And you can say that to some degree about all of the Avengers movies prior to this, but this does the best job of feeling like the natural progression of Guardians from Guardians 1 to 2 to 3. This almost feels like Guardians 3 because it really dedicates a lot of its time to Guardians. But it also perfectly feels like naturally where the Avengers, specifically Tony Stark, would go. It doesn't feel like we plucked everybody out of their own like story and dropped them into a less consequential one to their ultimate journey as individual characters, if that makes sense. So that was my best thing. For my worst thing, I think it's that this movie, like a lot of Marvel movies, are made better by movies that come later. This movie has the potential, more so than any other Marvel movie, of being hurt by the next Avengers film. I'm not saying that that's likely. I'm just saying that I think this movie has the greatest potential of being hurt by future movies. But that doesn't mean that like you should expect that to be the outcome. I'm just saying that like there's some ways to mess up this film.
If the back half isn't good.
Yeah. I mean, they certainly have put themselves in a position where it's really hard to pay off what we've set up.
If everyone's back in the first half hour of the next movie, people will be pissed, and it will hurt this movie a lot.
Yeah, especially because of people having real emotions walking out of the theater, feeling really somber, feeling bad about people they lost, even if they recognize. But everybody read the word Spoilercast in the title, right? I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
But the fact that like walking out, you had people who, even though a lot of folks I think realized, we've talked to people who didn't, but people who realized, well, yes, of course, Black Panther is one of the highest grossing films of all time. It's not like he's dead. It's not like we're not gonna make another one of those. But even people who knew that still felt things leaving the theater. It would be a huge mistake if we immediately light switched that coming into the next movie.
Yeah.
And I don't expect that, but it could even come really late in the movie and people could still feel really let down by it. It depends on how far we roll time back, if we roll time back at all.
Yeah.
And it does look like from bits and pieces we know already about Avengers 4 that there is going to be time travel in that film. Rasco, have you seen the set photo with Captain America in his Avengers Captain America suit?
Yeah, I've seen that set photo.
So there's a lot of, there's not a lot of, but that's a really good reason to assume that there's going to be a big time travel component in the next movie. And I don't want to spend the whole time here, obviously. We'll do some of this later on the Omnibus, speculating about what that next movie is going to be. But yeah, your point is spot on, Rasco. DJ, how did you feel walking out of the theater, and what's your best thing and worst thing?
I loved it the first time. I mean, I loved it. I saw it twice. So I loved it both times, but I really loved it the first time. I was one of those people that just loved the ending, even though like I knew that it wasn't going to be permanent. So that's one of the pros I can give this movie, is that it was able to just engross me in it so fully that I bought everything that it was doing and was able to forget about any behind the scenes stuff that I knew. Like I know they're shooting Spider-Man 2 already and everything. But yeah, I really loved it. I loved everything the second time, just as much, except I had talked to Cap in between, and he brought up all his Thanos problems.
Sorry about that.
So the second time, I kind of went into it like, all right, I'm going to see if I can figure this Cap. And
sorry, folks, DJ does not have the best connection right now because of a hotel room he's in, so we'll have to bear with him. But DJ, can you hear us?
frozen at the time. So.
We missed some of that.
Sorry, am I cutting out?
No, that's all right. We missed a little bit of that. What is your worst thing, DJ?
Worst thing is Mark Ruffalo. I really did not like him. Can you hear me?
DJ may be elaborating. I'm not totally sure. Yeah, we are
No,
doing our
I'm not
best
talking.
with this connection. Oh, you're not talking. Okay, all right. Well, that's going to be fun. I love these kinds of connection issues. It's the
Sorry,
best.
I thought Eric was going to say something. But Mark Ruffalo.
No, I was just agreeing.
Well, we can go ahead and just jump right into the Hulk and Ruffalo thing if you want to. We can start at that place and then start answering some questions.
Did he get to do a best thing? I thought he just did the worst thing.
I thought his best thing was just that he like forgot about his production things when he was watching the movie.
Okay.
Was that your best thing, or did you have a different best thing?
That can count as my best thing. That's fine. We can just get into it.
Okay, go ahead and talk a little bit about Ruffalo.
He's awful.
You think so?
Yeah. Here's the thing: is they completely redeemed. They completely redeemed Thor in this movie, like writing him as a completely different character from Ragnarok. They kept Ragnarok Ruffalo, who just feels like he's stoned and bumbling around and drunk and like is never funny except for when he gets tricked into bowing.
That was funny. Yeah.
But that's not even him. That's Rhodey being funny.
That's true. That's true.
No, he's really bad, and we don't give an explanation for anything. Like I kept trying to think back. I'm like, okay, did something happen in Ragnarok that would make the Hulk act like this? No, because he's the Hulk at the beginning of this movie. So this just came out of nowhere.
Okay, so seeing it a second time, and I know you did too, but like I don't know that that's a problem. It's just that it's unsatisfying because in some ways it is half a movie, and I know some folks are going to argue with us when we say that, but we don't get to fully explore that because they're going to pay it off in our next movie. They keep talking about that like a trilogy of Hulk. It's pretty clear that it has something to do with the Hulk fight at the beginning. We just don't know exactly what it is.
Scared? Yeah, well, and
does he just not want to go up against Thanos again?
I think that feels more like anything else, just half a story. Like everyone else, we got to a point.
Yeah.
We didn't get Hulk anyway.
No, that's true.
We just spent an entire movie being like, well, the Hulk's not coming.
But here's the thing. If we named it Part 1 and Part 2 like they originally had talked about, we don't, and I should say, we don't know what that second movie is yet. We don't know what it's called. We don't know what the reason is that they won't give us the title yet. It is very strange to be in this place where we have a movie less than a year away now, and we do not know what the title is.
It's got to be coming within the next couple of weeks, right?
I would think, but I thought we'd have it by now, unless it's too much of a spoiler for things that happen in this movie, and they don't want to tell people about it because the folks that haven't gone to the theater yet.
Like Ant-Man
I won't be so angry if
spoilers.
it's just called like.
I was just saying there
Ant-Man
might be
spoilers,
spoilers for
that's your point,
Ant-Man.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll be really angry if it's just like Infinity Crusade. And it's like, well, we didn't want to spoil that it's still dealing with Infinity things.
Well, yeah, especially because that wouldn't be much of a spoiler when we know Thanos still has the gauntlet. It says Thanos will return.
I mean, for people that
we have. No, I know, but hear me out for a second. Because originally they called it Infinity War Part 1 and 2. How much of it is a spoiler when, in the first place, back when you announced it years ago, but they said Infinity Part 1 and Part 2?
It sounded like they completely changed their plan. They're like, no, it really is two different movies. It's not like it's. You thought it was going to be two completely separate films.
Well, that's because that's the way they keep talking.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but for them to retroactively be like, well, we're afraid of spoiling the fact that it's Infinity in both. That would be weird, right?
It just feels like they've been lying for 2 years.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to jump the gun because we don't know what the title is.
Yeah.
And it's possible that when that comes out, we'll all go, oh, okay, of course. But the reason I bring up the Part 1 and Part 2 thing is to say that the fact that Hulk's arc is not in any way resolved and we don't even know why Hulk is hiding is not as big of a deal if it's called Part 1.
But everyone else, I feel like, got to a place.
Sure, but
it's not as big a deal, but everyone else feels like they got to something resembling what I could consider some kind of resolution.
Well, and if they had named it that way, it's possible they wouldn't have gotten people to as solid of places as they did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but anyway, Rasco, how did you feel about Ruffalo? Let's ask you about that real quick.
I'm taken aback. I didn't expect the Ruffalo hate. I'll be completely honest. I don't know. It's
I'm
one of
reserved about that. I felt better about the second time, but sorry, go ahead, Rasco.
I agree that like that is the one. Everything with Hulk is like the one thing that's clearly just half of a story, half of an arc. We don't really go anywhere with Hulk. We just kind of set something up to be concluded in the next film. But I mean, I did not have a problem with him. I did not have a problem with Ruffalo until you brought that up. I can't, like, now I'm second guessing myself, but I mean, I have no problem with him.
I feel like I need to see Ragnarok again, and I might feel better about it, but I didn't like Ragnarok, so I don't really want to sit through Ragnarok again. But again, folks, that's just me. I realize a lot of people love that movie. But here's the thing. I think I get what they think they're doing. It's just that I thought that movie was too self-indulgent and the comedy took over, that I wasn't totally buying his performance because it felt like they weren't taking themselves seriously enough. And so getting into this movie, obviously, you and I didn't have that problem with Thor in this movie. The comedy there I thought was really well balanced, and I got that he was kind of diffusing tense situations with comedy and all of that. I think the idea with Bruce Banner is supposed to just be that he's hit this weird breaking point with the Hulk, and he's kind of got this like whatever attitude, this kind of WTF sort of attitude, and he just kind of doesn't care anymore. He's doing the best he can, but he's just kind of throwing his hands in the air. And I think they're trying to get a lot of comedy from that attitude.
Well, and we also like there's things that already contradict Ragnarok. He remembers things from when he was the Hulk. And in Ragnarok, he's the Hulk for 3 years, remembers nothing. In this movie, he provides exposition that he can't have because the Hulk was there.
Yeah. And
one movie! We couldn't keep it straight for one movie!
I didn't pick up on that.
Well, he shows up and gives all the Thanos explanation. But the Hulk was there. And we established last movie, he can't remember what happens when he's the Hulk.
Well, that's true, but do we know for sure that he was never Banner in the interim?
I guess not.
I mean, like, Thor could have had conversations with him and stuff, and he might have seen some stuff.
Well, there's huge continuity issues with. It seems like this movie happens seconds after Ragnarok, so I don't know how anyone got any information. Mom
Yor in the comments says that I have done rewinds for movies worse than Ragnarok. Yes, I agree with that. I've done lots of movies worse than Ragnarok. Just saying I like it doesn't mean I'm saying it's the worst movie I've ever seen. It's not even the worst. I don't want to say remotely. It's not even the worst MCU movie I've seen. I just,
No, Dark World is worse.
And it's more entertaining than some movies that I even like, really. I mean, like, I don't know.
Which ones?
Incredible Hulk.
Oh, okay.
Like, I think Incredible Hulk is a good movie. I don't have any need to watch it again. Sorry, Dan Torrey. But got a message from Mr. Roboto in the comments. He sent a super chat. If you send a super chat, that I will make sure and read on camera. And all he says, it's a $3 super chat. Thanks so much for that. If you want to support us, that's the way to do it. Here is how it will end. Thanos becomes a farmer. A lot of people were wondering if we would get farmer Thanos in this. We sort of did get that, yeah.
No, that's what he's doing at the end of this movie.
Well, I mean, he's not tending land yet. No. He's just sitting down.
But he's also not tending land in the comic either.
No, but we know he has been.
Yeah.
I
imagine he'll do that here too.
He has a scarecrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it is essentially Farmer Thanos.
Yeah. And it looks like the farm from Princess Bride.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. Okay, let's answer some questions from Facebook and Twitter. And you guys, at any time, DJ and Rasco, just jump in, and we can take these any direction we want to. But David Crabtree asks, looking back at Avengers 2012, with what we know now, do you think Thanos knew at the time he gave Loki the scepter that it contained the Mind Stone? If he did, it seems odd that he would willingly hand it over to Loki with a chance he could lose that stone. Would he risk possession of one stone to try and acquire another and possibly lose both? You and I have had that conversation.
Nothing about Thanos before this movie makes sense.
It really doesn't.
It just, they were not... Marvel needs to stop seeding things. They're not good at it. This Thanos contradicts everything beforehand.
So I think Eric is being somewhat hyperbolic. I will go on record to say that. It's not nothing they seed. It's that when they seed character stuff, they do a pretty good job with that. When they do plotty things, it's more problematic.
Yes.
They're
I don't
really
know how much
great
character stuff is seeding as much as just building on what was there. They're really good at that.
Yeah, sure.
Not so much with the plot stuff, and when they're intentionally teasing us, they never pay that off well.
Yeah, but then you should have the same attitude that you have with the character stuff, and instead of trying to seed, or if you seed something that ultimately doesn't end up making sense with what you want to do later, you just have to build on what you had already. You can't retcon. You can't make those things mulligans.
Yeah, I don't think Thanos makes any sense with this incarnation with what we've seen before. But I also
even Guardians,
they
like
didn't.
is there anything about like Thanos in Guardians that is like retconned by this movie?
I mean, he's a completely different character. He's way more fun and like warlordy.
Yeah, the attitude seems a little bit different, certainly. The only thing that I would say is, so it's two things, Rasco. First of all, and it's just questions I have now that we know what we know about him in this movie. I don't fully get why he seemed to be as much of a sadist in those movies as he did. I don't get why he felt the need to torture his daughters the way he did. Exactly, unless it's just, well, I know that the only way that I can get all these people killed before I have the Infinity Stones is to create monsters. And I guess that's what it's supposed to be, but it just feels before that like he gets some kind of enjoyment out of it. Like there's like a sadism there. And you also
think him killing half of everyone would be brought up before that, because we know he's doing that the whole time.
Yeah.
It's never mentioned that he just kills half of everybody.
That's a good point, yeah. Because that seems to be his, I mean, obviously that's his MO. You'd think that we would talk about that. And then the other thing, Rasco, is just that you'd think he would be in more of a hurry to get stones, and he wouldn't be playing this like 4-dimensional chess in giving like one person a stone and then let them fail, and then like I don't know why he's doing any of that. When I have a big why now question with this movie, and a lot of people have tried to answer it, and I've talked to a lot of people about this. I'm still not fully satisfied. There are things that people are saying that there's some credibility to, but I still don't think it fully works. So, guys, I'm sorry. This will be the time. I guess we should just lay out the whole Thanos thing. I didn't want to open with it because it's going to make me sound really, really negative about this movie that I otherwise think is wonderful. But since I am reading these in order and I started with Thanos, I guess we'll start there. So let's do that, and let's try not to spend too much time on it.
Well, there is an answer to the Avengers Mind Stone thing. They didn't know it was the Mind Stone when they made the movie.
Yes,
sorry, that's the answer. They didn't know. That comes in Age of Ultron. They did not have that planned out. It just retroactively looks bad.
Yeah, that's fair. But anyway, so the thing about what were we talking about?
Thanos.
Well, yes, clearly. There's a lot,
you don't like
a lot of
Thanos
going on
in this movie.
So yeah, but the big purple elephant in the room. So the deal. The thing that people keep trying to explain to me, this is where I was going.
The why now?
The why now thing. The thing that people keep trying to explain to me is, well, this is the best possible time for Thanos to do his orchestrations in trying to get the Infinity Gauntlet and get rid of half the universe because of all the horrible things that have happened in the last few movies. So the Avengers have broken up and Ragnarok has been destroyed, et cetera, et cetera. All of these things make it so that this is the best time. Yeah, but he was already working on it, and there's no way he would have known that all that was about to happen. Like,
he was already trying to get stones. He was already murdering half of everybody.
Yeah, like, was he waiting for? He just doesn't seem to be in much of a hurry.
Asgard
right? Like,
doesn't seem to interact with the rest of the universe as much as we can see.
Yeah, so that's a question I have.
Why would he be worried about Asgard?
Yeah, and the thing is, Asgard and the Avengers and a couple other people mentioned things. I forget what the other things were, but like that stuff, I don't think would immediately lead you to let's start at Xandar.
Yeah, nothing about Xandar is more open or easy. You think you'd start on Earth? All the Avengers are broken up. I'll start there.
Yeah, sure, and that's where two of them are. And if I can get and they're in closer proximity. So if I can get two of those, then I'm in better shape to get the rest of them. So starting off, just stuff that bothers me about Thanos. First of all, I don't like that we kill Xandar off screen. The whole third act of Guardians is about saving Xandar, and we destroy it off screen.
Why did he not just take it from Ronan?
Or Pink Daughter's dead.
Did you hear DJ? He said, "Why didn't he just take it from Ronan?"
Why did he wait until the whole planet was protecting it to take it?
Well, in Guardians, like Ronan is like, I'm gonna keep this now, and then he just like keeps it. So like, he's gonna have Brock with him, and then it just didn't work out that way. Yeah,
it seems like everything leading up to this, I say everything, Avengers and Guardians, the couple of things we have with Thanos before this, led me to believe that he, for whatever reason, thought he needed all of them simultaneously. That he was waiting until he knew where all six were, and he's not doing that. I mean, like he doesn't know where he doesn't know where the Soul Stone is. Well, and that's kind of what he does in Thanos Quest. You know, I mean, like once he knows where they all are, that's when he goes after them.
Yeah.
And he's not doing that here. It really feels like it's just this is when we decided to make this movie, and so now he's going after all the stones. It makes sense that he goes after the one that the Asgardians have.
Oh,
but maybe start with that one because they're already in shambles and the refugees.
All you had to do was just not have Thanos be going after stones until this movie. Have him discover, like, wait, all these stones keep popping up. What if I got all of these? I could achieve my goals if I got all of these. We start with stones, and that's a problem.
Yeah. So folks keep telling me how great Thanos is in this movie because he's relatable and he thinks he's the good guy and all of that. And I wanted to be won over on that. When Eric and I walked into the theater, I turned to Eric and I said, I know they're good at Infinity Gauntlet and they're going to build an ideology around it. And I really wish they wouldn't do that. And like, fine, hopefully they'll win me over on it and it will make sense and I will like this other character that is not exactly Thanos. The example I keep using is Ultron. Ultron is not comic Ultron. I really like their Ultron. Like, yeah, Thanos is one of my favorite villains, but like, I maybe I could be won over on it. You know what I mean? Like Doc Ock is a different character. I liked him, you know, back in the day. So So what I'm confused about with Thanos is just how crazy is he? Do I buy that this guy would not think of other ways that he could solve the problem of hunger and people, you know, killing each other and just civilizations falling apart? Kind of these self-created problems with an overpopulation issue. Do I really buy that he wouldn't think of any other way to do that when he's God, when he has basically all the power of the universe at his disposal? And then part of the problem becomes, but his godhood is somewhat limited, and we don't have all the rules, and we don't know how exactly it works, and and infinity means something.
Yeah, the worst is when he just shoots a beam and Thor slices through it. He's God. Like, capital G controls everything.
Yeah.
God. Oh, I'm just gonna slice through it with my hammer or my axe.
Yeah, like I don't want to just throw out like disparate issues like examples of, well, here's a time where Thanos could have done one thing and he did something else. It's just the overall kind of malaise of the movie doesn't know what omnipotence is, and it's not telling me what the rules are if the gauntlet is limited.
Because it seems like once he snaps his fingers, the gauntlet's all burned up.
Yeah.
Which would suggest he's not all powerful, which would suggest these aren't the Infinity Gems of the comic.
Well,
they're not infinite.
Here's the thing, though. I had that conversation with Vince yesterday, and Vince suggested that doesn't necessarily tell us anything about the gems. It might just be the gauntlet. That the thing that guy forged just can't handle all that power. I have no problem with that.
But that's such a contrivance.
Why?
I don't know, because in the comics it's just a glove.
No,
it's just once you have all the stones, we have to make a thing that can use them.
Yeah,
and then okay,
but I don't think that's the bigger issue here, though, right?
It's indicative of the grander issue of this movie, which is small thinking, no imagination, really small thinking on the cosmic scale.
Yeah,
or afraid of it. Like it's possible they're just afraid that it's going to be too big and too weird and. This is still a cosmic adventure with training wheels. It's Baby's first cosmic adventure. All of the Blackguard, none of them, there's nothing cosmic about them. They're dudes with swords and spears. There's nothing, they're not shooting beams. They don't, except for
But my deal is, if we feel like for a larger audience to be accessible, we have to be more limited because people just won't be able to get their minds around it, and I don't love that. But I'm trying to draw the line, Eric, between it should be like the comics, and here's how they could have better handled what they're doing. You see what I'm saying? And what they're doing is a limited Infinity Gauntlet where apparently the most possible powerful thing it can do is get rid of half the universe. Even if that's what it is, and you and I might not like that, we can handle that more effectively. I can understand it better. I need the rules, and all we have to do is say, well, the gems can do that, but the gauntlet can't handle it, and that's maybe okay. But guys, I don't know how Thanos knows what the gauntlet can do. You can say, well, the Gauntlet can't do anything more than take out half the universe. That's the most powerful thing it can do. Thanos isn't going to try to say double the universe or give everyone food or whatever it is. But how does he know that? He's never had it before. DJ and Rasco, do either of you guys agree with me, or do you want to rebut this, or how do you guys feel about it?
I just wanted to say they do give us one rule about the Gauntlet. He can't use it unless he closes his hand.
Yes, I noticed that. That's so dumb.
They bring that up several times.
I noticed that the second time.
Tony makes that thing out of his nanites for his hand, and then they're like, "Don't let him close his hand." I don't know why that would affect the Jones.
They should have had like a Spider-Man 1 scene where he's like, "Go Gauntlet, go! Fly, Gauntlet!"
Yeah, there's like a release like right here. He just has to press it.
It just takes a while to figure out what the release is. Yeah, like the guy that built it couldn't tell him how it works.
Yeah, that also I noticed that the second time. That was ridiculous. It's like, oh, the only way he can do is doing this.
Well, and it's also weird because you mentioned this to me, that he seems to use the stones one at a time.
He's not using a gauntlet. He's just doing them.
But there's at least one scene where 2 of them light up simultaneously, and he's using the stones together, so he can use them more than one at once. And of course, when he gets all 6, he does, of course, have to use all 6 in order to disintegrate half the universe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Rasco, can you explain Thanos to me? Does he make more sense than how I'm describing it?
No, you're not wrong. Like, these are all completely valid questions. I choose not to think about them, though, which is the proper way to watch this movie. But
yes.
No, I'm just kidding.
You shouldn't have to say that with someone that people are saying is one of the greatest villains of all time.
Because folks are saying that.
I don't have to say that about the Joker Dark Knight. I don't have to say, I have to think about.
And what's complicated about it for me is that I can't unsee what I've seen. I can't unknow the things I know, right? So obviously I am biased. I am influenced and biased by comics I know. Thanos is one of my favorite villains. I wanted something closer to comic book Thanos. I would have loved death in this movie. I didn't expect that. Going in, I was pretty sure that nothing like that was going to happen. So yes, that bias is there. Like I said, I think I was willing to be won over by this, and I'm still confused. I don't think it totally makes sense. And more than that, Thanos is sorry, there's screaming going on upstairs. But more than that, it's, I want to think, but I don't know because I can't unsee what I've seen. I want to think that I would have some of the same reservations I have, regardless of what I know.
Or are we just hypersensitive to it?
Yeah, I don't know. But the thing is, I have a lot of these motivations. Like, it wasn't because I know comic book Bane with Dark Knight Rises that I thought that I was confused by his motivations. It's because his motivations are confusing. When you tell me at the beginning of the movie, when Wong talks about the stones, he makes it sound like they are all powerful. And when you give me that, it makes my imagination run away with itself and think about all the things that the stones should be able to do. And then they become more and more limited as the movie goes along until we get to the end. And it's almost like either the most powerful thing he can do is get rid of half the universe, or that's supposed to be the most imaginative thing anyone has ever thought of.
Yeah. There's also this contradiction with Thanos that I picked up on the second time, where I was like, okay, he looks pained the whole movie. He looks really sad.
Yeah.
He looks like he doesn't want this. And he thinks this is just the only way. And
aside, he's doing what he thinks is necessary.
And aside from the opening scene, he never kills anyone. Mm-hmm. He will kill half of everyone, but he never just murders people except for in the opening.
And he doesn't
scene.
seem to take any joy in that.
And then his minions are stereotypical, just evil demons who are having so much fun murdering people.
But that could work if we talked about it.
Well, yeah, but we don't.
Because I love the idea that Thanos is more or less an altruistic guy that thinks that this is the only way to solve people's problems, the problems of the universe. And of course, I have a tough time with that because we act like with Thanos it's a sustainable thing, but he would have to keep it up, right? I mean, this is not any more sustainable than, well, maybe it's a little bit more sustainable than giving everyone food, but it's not any more sustainable than, like I said, doubling the size of the universe or anything. Mm-hmm. So he's treated like a guy with vision, and he doesn't look like a guy with vision.
Well, I mean, sometimes he's right next to Vision.
Right, that's true. Yeah, sure. He has the essence of Vision by the end. Sorry, DJ, go ahead.
There is indication in this movie, though, that he does like violence and enjoys it. At the beginning of the movie, when Hulk punches him across the ship, the Squidward
But that's
guy.
not what we get. Where they say let him have his fun. Like that opening scene.
It's almost like he's transitioned from Avengers Thanos to this Thanos.
Yeah, that opening scene, we talk about him like he enjoys killing, but for the rest of the movie, he looks really sad and pained by everything. He doesn't kill anyone.
And so the arguments I've had with folks, I've had people say, well, he's been at this for a long time, and again, I don't know why he wasn't in a hurry before, but he's been at this for so long, and he has this narrow focus, and he's got it in his head that this is the only possible way he can achieve what he wants to achieve, and so of course he's not thinking of anything else. But I don't know. I'm not sure that's the character presented. I feel like the bigger issue here is all the stuff we know they left on the cutting room floor with Thanos. I bet more of the issues. I bet a lot of the issues that I have would be covered if I knew what more of his background, and if they gave him more screen time. And they treat him like the protagonist of his piece. I mean, we spend. He's the only character that really completely has a character arc. He tries to achieve something and he gets it, and for better or worse, that it works at the end. If he's supposed to be more or less kind of the POV character, I mean, kind of, sort of, obviously lots of other characters have their own stories, but if he's sort of the POV character for the piece, if it needed to be 3 hours to do it, let it be 3 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the problem is he's just not talking enough. I don't have to believe that that's the only way that he can accomplish his goals. I just need to believe that he believes that's the only way. And when I watched it through the second time, paying attention to everything he said, he doesn't talk to anybody besides Gamora for like a couple lines. He never talks with Stark, with Doctor Strange, he never even speaks to Captain America. He's just not.
Well, I mean, why would he get in the time of day? Like, I get that, but
he has a whole group of dudes that call themselves the children of Thanos, theoretically should be completely indoctrinated. They also don't talk.
Now, again, I feel like with them, I just wish we talked about it. I like the idea if this is what it's supposed to be, but there's not enough in the movie. I don't know. If what it's supposed to be is, again, he doesn't think there's anybody else in the universe like him that would do this for the right reasons, he has to bring in people that are psychopaths and want to see all those people die.
But if they're psychopaths, then why would they give him the stones? Why wouldn't they just keep them for themselves once they get them?
Well, I think it's because maybe they don't fully understand his motivations, and they're following him as like the big scary evil leader guy. You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like pretend it's different characters. Pretend it's Carnage and the Joker, and like they would just keep this. They would just keep it and use it. They wouldn't hand it over and be like, this is yours now.
Are half of them gonna die?
It's a good question.
Yeah, it's only fair.
It's easily covered if Thanos never sent them to get stones,
but he does.
No, I know, but I wondered about that.
Yeah, I also don't know what determines the ones he has to get and the ones it's okay if other people go get.
I mean, the Soul Stone makes sense, but other than that,
it actually doesn't anymore. Like, why does that make any more sense? He doesn't know that there's a trial to get that. He doesn't know someone has to be sacrificed.
Because he knows Gamora knows where it is, and he thinks he's the only person that can get her to say where it is. No,
true.
The Soul Stone he has to go get. Yeah, of course. Let's talk about Gamora for a little bit. We can get back to Thanos if we need to. We're already like half an hour in, and I said an hour, and we have to talk about some other things. But that's the basic. My basic issues now that we can talk spoilers with Thanos and my reservations with all of that. He's acted wonderfully. He's written wonderfully. I wanna feel something. I mean, I do feel something at the end with him, and I do feel something when he drops Gamora. I just feel like there's a lot missing.
The final shot is genuinely really powerful.
Yeah.
That sounds like is that the only time he smiles in the whole movie?
No, he does for the beginning, I think. But
okay.
But again, I have to reiterate, I'm not completely against this idea of a sympathetic Thanos, but it feels a little somewhat arbitrary, right? It feels like we're not going to get people behind this big scary bad guy if he's just a big scary bad guy. We have to make it seem like he's more three-dimensional, is about something, and it almost feels like plugging in for a formula.
And he's not Thanos. Like, we could have done this exact same plot with this could have been Ronan. Like, why does this have to be Thanos?
Sure.
I just gutted everything interesting about that character.
I think they were just and I think they were just afraid that if we had an actual madman psychopath, but the thing is, we made people love a real, actual psychopath with the Joker in The Dark Knight. Why couldn't we do it again with Thanos?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I've had a lot of people. I've also talked to a lot of people that say, death is stupid in the comics. I had never heard anyone say that.
I've never, until this movie came out, I never heard anyone say that.
So I think that's interesting. And then folks just saying, well, if he was just evil, that's not interesting. Yeah, but people conflate sympathetic character with likable character, right? I say this all the time, where people think that it's not interesting to see someone that's straight up evil, even if we know how they got there. Oh no, that psychology can be fascinating. Mm-hmm. And Thanos is fascinating.
How many movies do we make about serial killers and we cannot get out of World War II? Like,
yeah.
No, of course we can be. You can have really fascinating characters that are completely morally absent.
And for those of you that don't know, and Rasco, have you ever read Infinity Gauntlet?
No.
And I know DJ hasn't either. So for those of you that don't know about Infinity Gauntlet and where this killing half the universe thing comes from, so that is also Thanos' motivation in the comics, but it's because that's what the personification of death wants him to do. She brings him back to life. He's actually died before that. She brings him, well before, there's other Thanos stories before that, but the reason she has brought him back to life is for the express purpose to kill off half the universe because of a cosmic imbalance. And the balance thing I'm also confused about. That seems like a word we're just throwing around. Mm-hmm. I sort of get it, but it's so much more interesting in Infinity Gauntlet, where the idea is a cosmic imbalance, where death says more people are alive now than have ever died, and that's a cosmic imbalance. We can't have that. So she brings Thanos back to kill half the population so there are as many dead people as there are living people, and he has to get the gauntlet because that's the only way he can think of that he would have enough power in order to do that. So for all intents and purposes, in that book, killing off half the universe is an ends unto itself. And in this, it's not. And that's what's troubling about it to me, is that he is, not that they changed it, just that he doesn't have the forethought to think of anything else except for that, because that's what he's doing in the comics. Mm-hmm. It's almost because it's taking that from the comics that it is a problem. They should have started from the ground up.
Well, and he also does it famously with a snap in the comics.
Yeah.
And we cannot stop saying that in this movie. With a snap, he can get rid of the entire universe. With a snap of my fingers, I can get rid of the entire universe. Why?
Yeah, and
that's the only way he can do it is with it. Because apparently you have to do this to use the stones, but this kills half of everyone. You snap with the third finger, it doubles everyone, and this gives everyone a third liver. Second liver.
and there's three. Pinky makes you spotted or something.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you brought that up, because I was really distracted by the stagnated disintegrations at the end that we do, obviously just for dramatic effect, and it's very dramatic, and yes, Spider-Man makes me tear up a little, but all we had to do was never say, with a snap of my finger, I can get rid of half the universe, because I'm really distracted by the fact that it doesn't all happen at once then, because you keep saying that.
Yep.
But that one I just think is funny. I'm not honestly that bothered by that.
I just want to know if anyone else had the thought in the after credit scene where, like, oh, he just caused the rapture. Like, that's just...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
What if
it's worse than the rapture, because you wouldn't have as many believers.
What if the next one is called Avengers Left Behind?
I would lose it. I was going to say, if Nick Cage is not in that movie...
Nick Cage could have been Mephisto, right?
Oh, Nick Cage would be a great Mephisto, yeah.
Yeah.
Which would be really funny after he played Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to go to questions and things. Go ahead, DJ. Yeah, sorry.
About the balance thing before we move on, that doesn't make any sense. What you said is fascinating, but just killing half of the world, I don't know why that, or half the universe balances things out in this movie. But there's a really confusing thing that the Squidward guy says when they're on Gamora's planet, and they're saying they're killing half, and he's like talking and he's shouting out, "Choose your side," and they're all like walking to a side. Are they gonna I don't understand why he's giving them a choice to choose their side.
I think it's random.
I think it's supposed to be random. It's like you go to the right or you go to the left, and we're gonna basically roll a d6, and one of those sides goes away.
Mm.
But are they counting them as they choose their sides to make sure it's even?
Yeah, I do love the precision. I love the absurdity of literally half of everyone stands here, literally half of everyone stands here. You're all getting shot.
You guys, I just don't know how realistic trying to do this in an hour is going to be. Good.
Well, we got the Thanos part out of the way.
We got the Thanos thing out of the way. I'm sure we're going to get mostly questions about that now. Scott McCall left. I love this. Left a $5 super chat. Thank you for the $5 to say not to rush you guys, but you're spending too much time on one aspect of the movie.
I mean, this is the primary aspect of the film.
It is the biggest thing I wanted to talk about because it's my big reservation. The rest of it will be gushing. I mean, most of the rest of what I have to say is, and I love this, and I love this, and I love this. But we can do that for half an hour. I'm happy to do that. Mr. Roboto, for $2 says Adam Warlock. Yeah, we can talk about that. So maybe he just wanted to say Adam Warlock, but we can talk about that. Did you expect Adam Warlock in this movie?
No, because they said he was in Guardians 3.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
No,
I didn't know that.
And that was a thing that I've been saying to people.
It was something I had wondered about where that was going to pay off when we saw Guardians 2, but I didn't know that was news we had.
No, that's the thing that I kind of been arguing with people about, where I was like, so Thanos is kind of the Joker to someone, and he's not in this movie, but he's not Thanos, and so like it doesn't matter whether Adam Warlock is there or not. I do feel like we talked about this. We needed someone who knew more about this stuff to provide exposition.
Yeah, sure.
It didn't have to be
but you don't have Silver Surfer. I
mean,
like,
you don't have any of the. But you also, this is not a movie to just all of a sudden start introducing an incredibly complex and multifaceted character.
I'm kind of glad we didn't do that because he probably would have been introduced like the Vision, and it might have looked like a Deus Ex Machina. And there's also every possibility something like that still happens.
He just pops out of the Soul Stone.
Yeah.
After 10,000 years, I'm free.
It's time to conquer half of everything. Okay, let me see if there's any more super chats here. Yeah, sorry, Scott McCall, but that was the biggest thing we needed to make sure we ran down. Okay, let's answer some more questions here. Carlos Estrada, do you think it's possible that with the gauntlet all beat up, the power of the stones could drive Thanos mad, possibly even causing him to imagine some version of death? No, I don't. And he's not mad after that's happened. He seems very much at peace, and I don't think
disgruntled at best.
It has. Well, he doesn't even seem disgruntled. No, he's happy, right? Like, I don't think it has occurred to Thanos that at some point a bunch of people get born again. I do not think that it has even crossed his mind.
Has he had the birds and the bees talk? Does he
maybe
know?
Not. Maybe he doesn't.
He has no biological children.
That's true.
He might not know how people are made. He might just well, there's just too many of them.
Just started stealing other people's kids. It's like cheating on a test.
I don't think the death thing comes later, and also you had this. A bunch of people had this thinking that when we first saw Red Skull that maybe it would be death, and I never had that thought because we were so far in already that I was like, if death shows up, that throws a complete curveball and monkey wrench into what we're doing with Thanos. Like, she can't suddenly show up.
Yeah.
But
I mean, unless he keeps growing and evolving like
he does in the comics.
Like he does in the comics. Like he could be like the villain Tony Stark, where like every time we see him, he's kind of grown and learned a little bit.
But that would be really weird if he is supposed to be a guy who thinks he has a lot of imagination but doesn't, and only thought of one thing and was tunnel vision and never listened to Gamora when she said there was something else I could have done. Or you could have done, unless the idea is that now that he thinks he's at peace, he starts to get lucid. I think it would be great. It would be so funny if he's sitting on that hill and all of a sudden he goes, wait a minute, I didn't have to do it like that. What was I thinking?
So he just snaps the other way and it brings everyone back, and then he's like, food for everyone.
I think the stones. Again, I don't want to do too much speculation. I think the gauntlet is burned out. Although, does he use it to teleport, or does he have something else to teleport?
No, he uses it to teleport. He's using the space drone to open up.
Okay, so I mean, maybe he can still do small things with it, or maybe he can use the gems separately. But I don't know. But I think will use those in other ways separately in the next movie. But they'll never be that powerful again, especially because they seem so afraid of godhood.
Mm-hmm. Just cosmic stuff in general. They don't want to go there.
Malik Myers, how do you think Marvel can market post-Infinity War movies without spoilers? Eric and I are going to talk about that a little bit later on the omnibus, because I don't want to talk too much about later things, but that is going to be difficult. Certainly.
Well, they don't have to. Well,
what do you mean?
The two movies coming out are prequels. So, like, They don't have to worry about that.
Well, it's true, but I got this from somebody else too, especially the next Avengers movie. Like, that will be the hardest thing to cut a trailer for.
Oh, yes. Well, you'll just have to cut it. Everyone who died cannot be in the trailer.
Yes.
Or they messed up.
It's also possible that they're hardly in the movie and we don't see them until the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Andrew Brown, a lot of just speculative things. Do you think Black Panther and Doctor Strange are in different afterlives while everyone else is in the Soul Stone? No, I don't, because of the way they disintegrate. So
I keep hearing people say that everyone's in the Soul Stone. Why? Why are people jumping to this?
Because we know now for sure that one of them is. So, do you guys know about this?
No.
DJ and Rasco?
So. I think I know what you're about to say, but go ahead.
So, the Russos... Well, Rasco, you haven't gotten to talk enough yet. Why don't you go ahead and lay it out?
Oh, in some interview, didn't they say that like that scene with Thanos and young Gamora is like inside the Soul Stone? So that confirms that Gamora is at least definitely inside of the Soul Stone.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because he had to sacrifice her to get the Soul Stone. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. That does not in any way suggest that everyone he killed like that goes in the Soul Stone.
No, it doesn't, but I've been on the fence about it. I mean, I just found out about this a couple hours ago, so I haven't had a lot of time to think about it, but like...
It makes me think Gamora's not staying dead, and I don't like that.
No, that's what I'm saying, though. That means she's not dead. I mean, and they basically in that interview came out and said, like, no, she's in there, and that's obviously how they'll bring her back.
That's
my point. Yeah, is that she's alive and in there.
But that doesn't suggest anyone else is in the Soul Stone. I keep hearing people. Someone on the internet somewhere said that everyone's in the Soul Stone, and now I just keep hearing.
But I don't even know how that works if that's true. And like, I want to think that we're just jumping the gun and saying, well, because a young version of her is in the Soul Stone, that means that like they'll resurrect her that way. Well, we did it with Red Skull. I mean, I think that's what they'll do, don't you? And the way that interview read, it sure seemed like it. Later on, I'll try to link this. If I forget, somebody send me a message about it, and you guys can read it and interpret it for yourselves. But because I don't want to jump the gun or anything. But if she is alive there, we saw her die. I mean, like how does that even happen? Like she falls to her death and she collapses and she's dead, and then gets sucked into the Soul Stone. Like,
but remember, we then have like a weird trippy vision where like Thanos is like on clouds and then it's water and then gets up and then the stone's there. We don't see what happens immediately after, but you're making a tribute to the Soul Stone.
Yeah, well, okay, that's fair.
Yeah, no, like that makes sense. But I just really don't like that she's not going to be dead.
But can we call it a little bit emotionally manipulative?
This is the best performance she's given her entire career.
Yeah.
We gave a finality to it.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
And I wanted to talk about that. I fell in love with her in this movie. I have never cared for Zoe Saldana. I'm thinking differently about everything I've ever said about her after this performance. I thought she was incredible.
Maybe it's a different Gamora. She comes back as baby Gamora.
Yeah. And then
that would be weird for group. Peter. Will, not Parker.
Yeah, I went there. I said it. Grady Childs, do you think that Death was supposed to be in this film originally because of the challenge then would be the core Death line? I don't think they had thought that far ahead. I think that is definitely a reference to that character, and I think in Whedon's mind, he's like, surely they do that.
If Whedon made this movie, Death would have been that.
Yeah. So there you go. Don't want to keep harping too much on the Death thing and the Infinity Gauntlet thing. Malik Myers, we already got something from Malik. Wayne Hayes, with the way Infinity War ended, how many characters aside from Spider-Man and Black Panther will be alive again? Well, like I said, we know pretty sure Gamora is going to make it.
Which is unfortunate because
it looks like
I thought Loki and Gamora for sure are dead. Everyone else comes back, and then some of them might die. They're all coming back.
Yeah.
And if Gamora's alive too, Loki will be the only casualty.
I think Loki's the only casualty, and he's the one character where we have Thanos almost directly into the camera saying no resurrections. So he's dead for sure.
For this one. Don't remember this line for the rest of the movie.
We just meant in the. But to be fair, we meant in the context of him because he has resurrected before.
I know.
But he was the most expendable character in the movie because we got rid of Asgard. Almost everybody we care about from that world is dead, and we're probably not making any more Thor movies. He was really expendable.
It'll be really disappointing if we get to the end of both these movies and Loki's the only person that died, and still probably Tony. But of the people that vanished, maybe Falcon.
See, I need you to stop saying that. I can't have that.
It's Falcon or War Machine. One of them does not make it.
Oh.
They're both expendable sidekicks.
I mean, are we I just have a feeling when we get to I have a feeling when we get to the next Avengers movie, like characters that are alive at the ending of this movie are going to be like I'm just theorizing in my head, but I really do feel like almost all of the characters that faded are going to come back, and like certain characters of the main Avengers lineup, or at least the lineup at the end of this movie, are going to like be the ones that aren't moving forward. I think that they'll probably die or switch places or some sort of thing. Like, I don't know what the story mechanism for any of this happening is. I just have a feeling that we'll have a lot of casualties at the ending of the next movie that are characters that were not casualties in this.
Everyone that's left is the core original Avengers.
Yeah.
And those are all the actors that we know are leaving. Those are the ones that are on the table for death.
There are some
besides Rocket and Nebula.
And Ant-Man.
Yeah. And Hawkeye.
Yeah, Hawkeye was.
And I know we didn't see.
Yeah, but Hawkeye could die. I hope he doesn't. I want him to take over the Avengers, but
well, and I'm hearing a lot of people speculate that Hawkeye might go bad in the next movie because of the whole Ronin thing, not Ronin with an A, but Ronin with an I in the comics. A lot of people
also murdered his family.
Well, I'm hearing people say that's hilarious, but I'm hearing people say like, well, maybe his family disintegrated.
Yeah,
and he's angry.
Yeah,
and loses it. I want to live in that world for a while.
Me too. I'm still not satisfied with how little I lived in the post-Civil War world at the beginning of this movie. I was like, yeah, I kind of wanted to see all of those movies. I wanted to see Scarlet Witch and Vision hanging out. I kind of want to know what Steve has been doing. These are the things you could be doing with tie-in comics that we're not doing.
Especially because clearly after this, we're not going to have the Accords at all, right?
Yeah.
Like, pretty clearly,
much like the comics, we just get rid of that.
No, I like this. I mean, like, when we talk about the Accords in this movie, we make a big deal out of that with Thunderbolt Ross. I think we're making a big case for, no, they can't be too regulated. Because what if something like this happens? Like, they broke up over the Accords. Maybe we can't have that, for better or worse, with however you feel about the politics of that. No, I think we're somewhat making a movie about that.
Okay.
I mean, it's not all about that, but that's in there. I like that Rhodey got some screen time and that it was about that.
Yeah, court martial.
Yeah. I bought his turning around on that. Who did you guys think? Who are you guys wishing that we saw more of? Rasco and DJ.
Falcon. I just like Falcon. Yeah. I want more Falcon.
That's my big one. Well, couldn't he have at least gotten as much to do as Rhodey did?
Yeah. Because you're right. I went back. I was like, oh, his one big line is, well, this is awkward.
It's a crowd pleaser, let me tell you. And some of it is deliberate. So when people say, well, obviously it's one and done movie, you can't say that it's half a movie. Well, it is and it isn't, right? We don't give Steve Rogers anything to do because the next movie is going to be a big Steve and Tony movie, pretty clearly, pretty obviously.
Yeah, that's the thing is, people want to say this is one movie, and I'm on the fence, or one story. It is a movie. Empire Strikes Back is a movie, right? Like, it is a movie. It's not a complete story, and I think the same people that will argue with you and say that it is a complete story will also then defend. It's like, okay, well, then Cap got nothing to do, and he shouldn't have been in this story because he has nothing to do in the story.
And they will say, we'll wait for the next one.
Yeah, well, he's going to have more in the next one. I'm like, that's not a full story.
And I'm not even saying that's a problem, except I wish we had kept the part
I
one,
wish
part
it was
thing.
better communicated.
Yeah, because I didn't have this problem, but it's because I expected half of everyone to be disintegrated, because that happens in the middle of Infinity Gauntlet, and it became pretty clear about
actually issue 1.
2/3 of the way. Oh, that's true, isn't it?
It's the inciting incident.
It seemed about 2/3 of the way through the movie. Oh, that's where we're going, and you predicted it 6 months ago. You said this movie will end with. I predicted it like 4 years ago. Well, the second they announced part 1 and part 2, you thought that's what they would do.
Not that I thought. It's what I always wanted.
Yeah, sure.
I wanted I was like, if it's 2 parts, part 1 ends with half of the universe dead. They'll never do that. They don't have the guts.
I love that. I think it's great. And I was not disappointed going out of the theater, although I didn't shed any tears like a lot of people did because I saw it coming. But that's because I know what I know.
I also went with people. I saw this movie twice with 2 different groups of people.
Yeah,
people that I consider smart, intellectual, savvy, and I had to be like, you do understand everyone's coming back, right? Like everyone, and
people would think is being well watched and refined.
No, and I've talked to people that where they're just like, what are they going to do moving forward? I'm like, well, they're all coming back.
Yeah, I was really surprised by that. And
I'm surprised by how many people are being duped. And I think taking the part 1 away is how you do that.
Yeah, and I feel bad for folks that are angry about it because they felt like they didn't get enough of an experience, but I don't want to take that away from anyone that relished the feeling of I don't know what's going to happen next.
I like it with here's the, I like it without the part one. I really do. I like that it is an Empire Strikes Back. You go in and you did not know that the end of your movie is the end and half of everyone is dead. I really like that. I like everyone coming in and getting to have that experience. And if it said part one, they wouldn't have had that.
Yeah.
At the same time, I don't like how uncommunicative they are about it, and it feels like they were. I just feel like they worded things intentionally inaccurately.
If you're going to do it this way, the next one should come out in 6 months.
I mean,
no, if you're going to do it without the part one. I'm not saying that's possible. I'm just saying if you're not going to title it that way, don't make people wait a year because you're going to piss some of them off.
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
I don't think people know that it's coming that quickly.
That's the thing too, is that this was such a big deal that I like. I'm talking to a lot of people where I'm having to explain to them there's another Avengers movie coming next year.
Yeah. Like literally, like exactly a year later, there will be another.
Just because there was so much hype for this.
Yeah, it's
you guys jump in at any time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was just gonna say, I think that something that, from like a financial perspective, is really beneficial about ending this movie on the cliffhanger that it ends on is that that's maybe the only way you could possibly have a chance of beating this movie's opening box office results, because because it's a cliffhanger. No one saw this movie and is not going to see the next movie unless you just hated it. This is the only way this movie could have ended for there to even be a chance that the next one does better financially, or at least has a larger opening, which I don't think will happen, but it has a possibility of happening because of the way they chose to end this movie.
Yeah, because a lot of people, even if they didn't like this movie or the ending of it, have to know what happens.
I think all of that will be deflated if any of the characters that are dead are in the trailers. I think the second people, especially people that emotionally were moved by that, see like, oh well, they're back. And it looks like maybe early in the movie they're back. I feel like the next movie has to be marketed very well, but I agree it could outperform this film.
Nicholas Moore says on Facebook, you guys should really stop saying you're going to let comments dictate the conversation. It almost never actually happens. I'm trying. I'm doing my level best.
We're just going off of comments.
That's true. We're maybe not answering all of them, but it's dictating it in that you guys say a thing and then we jump off of it and we go to directions we never would have gone otherwise. But I'm doing better than the 3 or 4 I have sometimes done in the past. We are already at an hour and we have not done enough, and we can't let this stand. And I don't know what to do about that.
Yeah.
It's just such a big movie. I feel like these guys haven't said anything. DJ, besides the characters we already mentioned, was there anybody you wish we had seen more of? And was there anybody you were excited about that you usually don't care that much about? Because I had that with Des.
I don't know about the second one. Cap is always my favorite. I love everything he does. Everything he did in this movie was amazing. Captain America, this guy. But I wish he was in it more.
I'll be over here.
First, I love that the theater went crazy. Him holding Thanos' hand was so cool, and Thanos just confused look on his face, like, how in the world are you doing this? I love that. But I don't know. I guess just Hawkeye. I don't know why there's any reason Hawkeye didn't be in the movie. Just as one of Cap's squad. I don't know if that was an actor thing or something.
Home with his family.
Yeah, I think there's also a big possibility that he shows up in the after credit scene or somewhere in Ant-Man because they're coordinated together. Remember it's mentioned that in Civil War they're both put in cells and they both took deals, and they're mentioned in the same sentence in this movie.
Oh.
And so he very well might be somewhere in Ant-Man. And so, yeah, I'm not surprised that he's not here at all, given that Ant-Man's not here.
I expected some Hawkeye. I didn't realize he wasn't in the movie.
Yeah.
My phone, lock screen background is still the version of the poster with nothing but Hawkeye, which was a great April Fool's Day joke, except...
The Russos did that, right?
Yeah, because everyone's like, where's Hawkeye? And then they made that poster. Hilarious. I didn't realize he wasn't in the movie at all.
That makes it funnier, honestly.
It does.
Yeah, but did anybody else have what I did with Gamora, where I usually don't care that much about her, and I was just blown away this time?
Yeah, not just the character, the actress.
Yeah. Yeah, but also the character, like.
Yeah, I think like it's funny. Like
her a lot more.
Gamora is a better character with other characters present. Like she's a much better character in Guardians when you explore her relationship with Nebula, and then that is really important in this movie specifically. Like the scene where Thanos is like torturing Nebula to get the information out of Gamora. That scene plays really well after Guardians 2.
Thanos doesn't even pretend he doesn't have a favorite kid. He makes it very clear to everyone that he has a favorite child.
In Guardians 1, he's like...
Guardians, though.
Yeah, in Guardians 1, he's like, my favorite daughter Gamora. Like, right.
And then we do a big close-up on Nebula where she just goes...
Yeah, it's hilarious.
I hope Nebula gets the Gamora treatment in this, because she still has nothing to do.
I also don't know how she got out of the force field. I'm kind of confused about that.
Oh, that's really bad. It's really bad. It's holding her
punched
in place.
the guard.
Yeah, and then it's worth it. She punches the guard, and then the next scene she's just walking out. We didn't even see her get out of the force field. What else? Nicholas Moore, hours up, guys. Not gonna lie, this is a bit of a disappointment. I know that's why we're still going, and we're gonna hit as many more aspects as humanly possible. It's just really difficult to get it all done at once, which is honestly why originally we weren't gonna do a spoiler cast, but we just got so many requests for it, and I was excited that Rasco was available, and DJ and I have been talking about this a lot. But
we said walking out of it that's in. Much like Age of Ultron, this feels like a TV season condensed, but in a way more palatable way. But there's so much going on.
Yeah, in much more of like a 3.5 or 4 on Superhero Rewind way than I don't know what that's going to end up ultimately getting, but yeah, no, it's paced extremely well.
It would have been a 4, but because of Thanos, it's a 1.5.
No, it's not. Stop it! Don't say that. Let's just so we're gonna answer a few more things. We'll go another 10 or 15 minutes because we have to. There's no way around it. Let's just go around because I feel like we've not been positive enough on probably one of my favorite superhero movies ever made. Eric, what was your single favorite moment in the movie? Go. We'll do that thing.
Single favorite moment in the movie. Pass. Come back to me. Okay,
go. Rasco, do it. Go, Rasco.
This is going to be my favorite moment in any movie that it happens in ever. It's just seeing Cap and Black Panther run really fast is really cool.
Yes, I was going to say that.
Like when I was in the theater and that moment happened when they like run out in front of like the huge army, and I was like, you know what? I just realized that was the thing I was most anticipating. Like from all the trailers, I was always getting really hyped from just seeing Captain America run, and then I saw that and I was like, wow, that's what I was really here for. Like I didn't even know it, but that was it. Just them running fast. It was awesome.
Wow, I'm glad you guys are here because that would not have come up. DJ, what was your favorite moment in the whole movie?
I just love.
I'm sorry, we've lost DJ again.
Don't care. Like I loved all their interactions. Leaning on the cauldron of the cosmos.
Oh yeah, the pure English thing.
No,
that's
just Tony Stark.
Oh
yeah.
Sorry, with Doctor Strange, right? Yeah.
Those two together.
Obviously, the best thing about this movie is that it mixes all those tones as well as it does, and everything is authentic to their previous movies. But when we start talking about a scene out of context, I have no idea where we are because we just watched so many movies.
You know what? My favorite moment. I'm gonna go real uncharacteristic. I love Star-Lord impersonating Thor.
It's great.
It is the funniest thing. This is how I always talk.
I mean, Drax pretending to be invisible is a
that was also really good.
I agree.
I think since you guys all went with mostly funny things, I guess I'll also go with a funny thing. Although I'm sure. I mean, my favorite
death is also heart-wrenching.
I mean, my favorite moment in the movie is actually probably Gamora's death, honestly. But
I also really like that image that we got in the trailer, but we didn't know was the end of the movie. Where it's just Tony alone.
Yes. Well, and that's my favorite thing that happens in the movie. I'm not going to call it my favorite moment, just watching the movie, but the fact that we paid off the Age of Ultron vision he has is a big, big deal to me. I talk about that in the rewind, the idea that he's afraid that all the Avengers are going to die, and they don't all die, most of them die. He's afraid that all the Avengers are going to die and it's going to be his fault. And that he's still going to be left alive, having to live with the fact that he couldn't do anything to solve it. And we see him in space. I mean, it's with Chitauri.
He doesn't know who's alive and who's not alive.
That's true. But like, I thought at Age of Ultron we were seeing him in Infinity War, and more or less that seems to be what it is. That means because remember, we don't know exactly how Scarlet Witch's powers work, and it's weird and it's a whole thing. But she's apparently able to make visions that are sometimes real, and everyone that sees them knows when they're real, which I'm very confused about. I'm talking about Age of Ultron right now, but I love that Infinity War is the reason he built Ultron. I mean, that's fantastic. But funny-wise, I think my favorite moment has got to be Rocket trying to buy Winter Soldier's arm.
He's got to get that arm.
He's gonna get that arm.
I think it's kind of cool how we like Tony. I think that it's going to be a major thing of like, how is Tony going to get back to Earth? Because that's going to be like a parallel to getting out of the cave. Like, he's going to have to think of a way to get back to Earth, because they make a plot point about that like there is some sort of obstacle. He can't just fly back to Earth for obvious reasons at this point, because like his suit's
he'll make a ship out of Nebula's spare parts.
Yeah, he's going to do something Tony Stark.
We'll start next movie. Yeah, we'll just start next movie, and Nebula will just be there, like the organic bits, and all of the technology. Tony will just be a little pod, just blast off.
Tony Stark was able to build this on a planet with a bunch of scraps.
I'm getting a lot of people talking about some of our reservations with Thanos and stuff, and we could go into all of that, but I don't think it's smart. I don't think we should, because there's so much else.
No, there's so much else. We
to talk about. Yeah.
Talk about how much better Doctor Strange was in this movie.
You guys have less than half an hour. You should talk about the things in the movie you like. We're doing that now. I know we're late, and I was really hoping we could do this without being late, but we have to. Sorry, I'm just seeing so much Thanos stuff. Why didn't, let's see, this is a Color Warrior on Twitter. Why didn't the Guardians know about Thanos attacking Xandar a week before Infinity War? Thor couldn't have been in space for a couple hours. Wouldn't half the population being decimated be major galactic news? That's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just trekking along. Although I don't
know how many jumps away they are.
They don't seem like people that keep up with the news, right?
No, they are. Because we hear a Xandar newscast in the Milano within like 15 minutes in the first movie. Yeah.
Okay.
Certainly Peter Quill has them.
Okay, then no, that makes no sense. He's right.
Yeah, that guy's right. You win. Well done. Nicholas Moore, I'm not sure why Eric is confused about Hulk. I think him being scared is pretty obvious. I actually really like Bruce in this film, and I think Ragnarok made it pretty clear that being Hulk for 2 years screwed with his brain chemistry. Yeah, I think that's what it's supposed to be. Some of it is just my lack of investment in Ragnarok. So like, I didn't want to jump as hard down its throat about it as you did, Eric, just because I don't think I'm being fair to it because of things I don't remember from Ragnarok. But
hey, at the end of Ragnarok, people thought he was dead. You remember that?
No, I don't.
Yeah, there was lots of speculation that Bruce Banner was just going to be dead and you're just going to have Hulk moving forward. Because he like falls into the thing and then he becomes Hulk.
Charlie O'Donnell says, read this out loud, please. You're welcome. Charlie O'Donnell also says Rocket and Bucky's meeting was amazing. Yep, yes, it was. I really expected Rocket to have to find out what a real raccoon is in this movie, and he's on Earth right now, so that could still happen. I'm really hoping for that.
Well, now he also has to find out what a rabbit is, because he's also now Rocket Rabbit.
That's true. So this is interesting because I have talked to some people that saw this movie that have missed some other movies, and I took Brandon, and there's a couple movies he hasn't seen. What characters would you say are most palatable and easiest to understand watching just this movie if you didn't see their movies? Like, which ones do you think you have to have, and which ones can you get away with not having at all? I think Doctor Strange you can kind of get away with not having at all.
You don't have to see Doctor Strange. You don't have to see Thor. I guess Hulk. You don't have to see Hulk.
Well, yeah,
you need the Guardians for this.
Yeah, you got. Yeah, that's important.
You know what? I would say
you don't need Spider-Man.
You don't need Spider-Man.
If you've seen Spider-Man in Civil War, this adds nothing, or doesn't bring in anything from his previous movie.
You also don't need Black Panther. If you've seen Civil War, you don't need to see Black Panther.
Well, and it would be interesting to talk to somebody that was introduced to Wakanda through this movie and went back.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I wonder what that experience is like.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was so cool just the way this lined up that Black Panther is still in the theater for a lot of theaters.
And he's already
when this
dead.
movie comes out. That's hilarious.
You can go see him alive in one movie and then dead in another movie.
I mean, just every time he was on screen, I just wanted to walk down the hall and watch his movie again, man. Like,
I think it's hilarious that it's like what, the 4th highest grossing film of all time? Retraction, not the highest grossing film of all time.
No, it's like 10th or something, but yeah.
But in America, it's like 4th.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. I think in America, it's like 4th.
I will not speak on this anymore.
Okay.
I messed it up twice.
It did beat Titanic, and Titanic was the 3rd highest grossing film of all time. It is, I think,
okay.
maybe it's the 3rd highest. It's in the top 5 highest grossing films of all time in America. I love that movie came out like 3 months ago, one of the highest grossing films of all time in America. And he's dead. And then we just immediately kill him. They did not know it was going to be that big.
Malik wants us to talk about Spider-Man. He says thoughts on all the Spider-Man stuff. How'd you feel about how Spider-Man was handling this, you guys?
He's really good.
DJ especially, because DJ is a huge Spider-Man guy and was actually on the set of Homecoming. DJ, how did you feel about how Spider-Man was handling this?
I need to see where they go with it. At first, I was really resistant to them. The whole movie of Homecoming is about him not becoming an Avenger, and then in this, he's just like, "You're an Avenger," and I know.
Oh, but he knights him. It's so nice.
Still need him.
Oh, that's great. But
I mean, I just got to see where they go with it. It's a little weird. I hope it doesn't make Homecoming kind of irrelevant after this.
I think this movie's really hard to talk about because you don't know how much of it gets wiped out.
And he won't stay an Avenger, right? Like, he will not be in Avengers 5.
No,
yes.
I wouldn't think that would be a mistake.
No, this is just for this moment. Like, it doesn't mean anything. You're an Avenger because you're in space with me.
Yeah, I hope Tony, after he dies. I just hope that him dying in his arms is enough to make Tony, like, not let him be an Avenger anymore, and he goes back to being
a good point.
Friendly. Which I thought was a great line.
He'll double down on him not being an Avenger.
And then they made a joke out. He was like, "I know it doesn't make sense." I was like, "It makes perfect sense. That was a great line. Don't belittle it."
Yeah, I didn't understand why he said that. I don't know why he backed it up. Whereas, like, if there's no neighborhood, I'm like, no, I was tracking you. That made sense.
I also really like the magic with a kick. More magic.
Is that what he was saying?
I really like that.
I couldn't understand what he was saying.
He says magic, more magic with a kick. And then he gets grabbed.
And another thing I like about Spider-Man, this was probably in the trailer, and everybody probably knew this already. I don't watch trailers, so there's a lot of things that I really love that people are probably like, that was like 6 months ago. I love the spider sense. That was such a cool, simple way to do the spider sense. And I just thought it was really cool.
It is in the trailer. Did not get that it was the spider sense until I saw the film.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I thought that was awesome.
I loved it.
You know, we have not talked about the big, obviously the thematic crux of this movie, which is, of course, kind of the Wrath of Khan, needs of the many question. And I'm talking a lot with Marvel movies, especially about the kind of chart that we can draw that has two extremes and everybody in the middle. And the two extremes in this movie, of course, are Thanos on one end and who am I thinking? I guess Captain America on the other end, right? With Vision right in the center, right? With the we don't trade lives versus, well, isn't it worth making a utopian planet even if you have to kill half the people? I thought it was really cool to have Vision in the middle of that, where he is of course, willing to do the sacrifice, and then he's the guy later that says that says back to Captain America, we don't trade lives, because he's on the opposite end of a spectrum in Age of Ultron from Ultron with life versus how we live life and all of that. And it was just really neat to see him in the middle of that. And then obviously everybody else in the center. And I thought that I love how Thanos works in this movie thematically, of course, and just I think that was really deftly handled in actually having a real story thing, a real thematic crux that brings all these characters together and gives us something to latch onto instead of just an easy MacGuffin plot. Again, I wish I bought Thanos' motivations more than I do, but I thought that was all really thoughtful, and every character that is willing to kill someone else, as begrudgingly as it was, like I always bought that in the moment.
The thing is, I think Thanos works wonderfully as how a lot of villains do. He works as a device to bring all these characters together and make them go through the journey they go through.
Yeah.
But then they tried to make me care about him.
Yeah.
And I didn't go all the way.
He works better as just a device.
Yeah. Also, never has there been a more truthful line than, yeah, you look like a Thanos.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, there was so much...
Guys,
Go ahead.
No, sorry, DJ. Go right ahead, man.
There's just so much sacrifice in this movie. Do you guys remember the Spider-Man 2 poster? Where it just says, sacrifice, across the top? Yeah. I feel like you could make a fan-made poster of this movie. Just sacrifice. Because everybody has to sacrifice somebody.
And people have to make choices to sacrifice people even if they don't actually do it. Peter Quill has to make the conscious choice to shoot his girlfriend or long-term...
Same thing with Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch in the head. Even though, but Scarlet Witch actually killed him. She went through the emotional process of killing him.
She went all the way through it.
His became bubbles.
Yep.
He didn't actually get to do it, but he had to get there mentally.
How did you feel about Killing
Vision took a little long, right?
No.
You don't think so?
No, I mean, I like that it took that long to destroy an Infinity Stone.
That's fair. That's fair.
Sorry, what, DJ?
How did you feel about Peter Quill kind of wrecking the whole thing when they almost had the gauntlet off? Like, I don't know if I like throwing him under the bus like that. I mean,
that wasn't throwing him under the bus. I like it a lot, and I'm going to make Eric mad when I say this. It was the Iron Man thing at the end of Age of Ultron, or at the end of Civil War, handled right. I know you don't. I don't care. That's just how I feel about it. And I love that, but I love that it's Tony that tries to hold him back because he understands how he feels in that moment. It's a real different thing, right? Like, I've always complained about this, and Eric doesn't agree with me, but with Civil War, you've got Tony going after Bucky at the end because you killed my mom, even though he intellectually understands that it wasn't actually him that did it, and I didn't buy that he would go as far as he does for as long as he does. The initial impulse I get, he goes too long, I never bought that. With this is the guy who just killed Gamora, and he just found out about it. No, I don't think throwing him under the bus at all. I wouldn't expect him to be that reasonable in that moment. And also, Peter Quill, other characters, yes. Captain America, I'm not buying that. Peter Quill is still a child. He's growing up a little bit, but he's still a child.
It doesn't help that the whole scene is probably the dumbest scene in the whole movie.
Because they don't just cut his arm off?
Not just because they don't just cut his arm off. The fact that they're able to get as far as they get, period. He has 4 out of 6 Infinity Stones.
Right.
They shouldn't be able to get him to that point. He has the Power Stone, the Reality Stone.
I don't agree.
Okay.
And the reason I don't agree is because it tracks well enough with the Celestial thing in Guardians 2. If she can make the planet sleep, she can make Thanos sleep with 4 stones.
That's fine.
But that's why they were able to get that far. That's the only reason they were able to get that far, is because she made him sleep.
They're fighting him before that, though.
That's true. But
I don't buy that they get him to the point that, I don't know.
But she snuck up behind him.
I don't know. That fight's not hard enough, I don't think.
What do you guys think?
Go ahead.
Rasco has no opinion.
I don't know. Thanos.
If you were shooting this movie,
Rasco, I was feeling really bad for how much Eric and I have been talking, and I keep waiting for you guys to jump in, and I'm like, are we just not letting them say it? And then I'm like, Rasco, what do you think? Yeah, I'm having a good time.
And they also know that fight's too easy, which is why they contrive he has to close his hand thing.
No, I know.
Because they have to keep him from closing his hand, because that's the only way you can use the
No, they're struggling really hard with the all-powerful thing. And that's the thing is if you just I'm going back to this again, but if you make him more of just the mad crazy tyrant, it's easier to control that he would give up some of his power, which is what Infinity Gauntlet does. Again, if you've not read Gauntlet, what he does in that is somebody tells him, if you, I forget if it was Mephisto or who said it, but somebody tells him, is it Mephisto? That, if you gave up your cosmic awareness, because he doesn't have cosmic awareness in this, although to be fair, he doesn't have the 6 for long enough that we would know if he would, but he knows everything before it's going to happen. So even though he's so powerful, they still can't really fight him because he knows what they're going to do before they do it. And he gives up his cosmic awareness and still has all the other powers. And Mephisto says that will give you a 0.05% chance.
No, he only uses the Power Stone in the beginning of that fight. Mephisto convinces him to only use the Power Stone.
I thought it was about losing his cosmic awareness.
No, it's about losing everything. He only uses the Power Stone.
The Power Stone. I forgot what it was, but
that's what gives them a 0.05%.
I have to go back and look at it because that's not how I'm remembering it. But I'll look at it again. But that's not here or there. But I just like the idea that the reason they have any chance at all is because he just thinks it's more interesting if they do. Like that's a contrivance I buy.
Well, and I also don't think that they're going to go the way where like Thanos deep down has like this crippling self-doubt where he always unintentionally, subconsciously gives a way for himself to be defeated.
Yeah.
Again, if we had that, this makes more sense.
That's true. But that doesn't seem to be what it is. It just seems like in the moment we keep contriving reasons that he can't use all of his power.
Because he has to close his hand.
Yeah. Guys, we have got to finish up. Let's go to DJ and Rasco, and because I feel like we have really dominated today. DJ, anything you really wanted to talk about that we didn't get to? And there's a million other things in this movie we've not gotten to. So the floor is yours, sir. Go ahead.
Put me on the spot.
Yeah, I know. Sorry about that.
Oh man, about like, is there a big gaping like section that we haven't talked about or topic?
Yeah, like I keep feeling like there must be.
I feel like we hit on most things.
Yeah, but just a lot of kind of touching on stuff. Yeah, I really like the Doctor Strange Iron Man relationship. A lot of people are complaining about it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm hearing people saying that it's. Yeah, I'm hearing people say, well, it's too obvious. It's just two egos going against each other. I think folks are forgetting Age of Ultron, and I'm sorry, and also Iron Man 3. I think specifically Iron Man 3. I think and the guy. So I was on a podcast last week on Aaron Dicer's. I was on Aaron Dicer's podcast, and his co-host and I argued about this. And I said, "Well, do you remember Iron Man 3?" And he said, "Well, I hate Iron Man 3." And I'm like, "Well, that's probably why you don't remember that part." But but Iron Man 3 is so much about Tony not being able to handle things he can't control, and the idea of aliens, and anything that goes against his scientific, understanding and philosophy. And when he goes up against Doctor Strange, that is the antithesis to everything, to all of Iron Man's world. Yeah, he's a wizard.
Yeah. And
I didn't get the sense that they had the kind of animosity they do as early. That actually threw me for a minute when suddenly he's got so much animosity toward Doctor Strange. And seeing it on a second viewing, I still feel like I should have had more of a sense of that earlier. But maybe the condescension was supposed to be enough.
It took me a little bit to warm up to the two of them.
Did it?
Yeah, when they first together, I was like, I was excited for this. I don't know why, and then it grew on me.
Sorry, go ahead, DJ.
I think Doctor Strange already hated Tony Stark before he met him because he says, "I'm the one person in the world that doesn't work for you." Like he obviously knows about him already, and just doesn't like him.
Well, Tony should know him. He's on the list of people that Hydra are watching out for.
That's true.
Before he was a wizard. How did you guys feel about the Black Order? As not comic book people knowing nothing about these characters anyway.
Yeah, did you think they were super cool? Because I didn't.
Did you love that they brought World of Warcraft to the Marvel Universe, finally?
I liked Squidward, and I liked that we got an alien reference out of it. So
yeah, of course, yeah.
Because of that, it's a net gain. It's a net win.
Did it hurt you that they called Alien a really old movie?
No, I imagine
it's a pretty old movie.
Yeah, I don't know. That at this point, people younger than even they could get away with saying that.
No, I think so too.
My
I
feelings.
think the Empire thing is harder because Star Wars is so in the public consciousness. The aliens thing, like I fought you on this after we walked out. That one, I'm totally like, how old
The Alien
is it?
movie came out last year.
An alien movie, yeah, but it's not super popular and kids aren't watching that. You know what I mean? Like everybody's watching Star Wars. That movie didn't do huge guns or anything.
Yeah.
So you think that if it's a franchise that we keep rebooting, a kid can never call it old?
To act like you've never heard of something that you can walk into any store and find action figures of, yes.
No, that's not the same thing as calling it old, though.
That would be like saying, hey, have you ever seen this really, really old movie, like Friday the 13th?
Yeah, I would buy that too.
You wouldn't say that because you know what they are.
I would buy that too.
They're just in the public conscious sphere. They need to do deeper polls if they're going to have them refer to movies as really, really. They're just it's constantly present. It's in your life constantly. You can't get away from aliens.
See, I feel like you almost have to take a survey of a lot of kids that are way younger than you before you can say that.
I feel like everyone knows a xenomorph.
Knowing it, I don't think that's true. And like knowing about it, having heard of it, and thinking that's a thing that my parents do are two very different things.
You're right. I don't know. I feel like both Empire and Aliens are in the public zeitgeist enough.
You guys, who's right? Right? I need you guys to side with me on this. No, I'm kidding.
Like you're
I can like it's like when I think the thing is when we think of Peter Parker, everyone thinks of Peter Parker is a nerd in the time that they were a nerd. Like, oh, like when I was in Peter Parker should be like what kids were like when I was in high school. And I think that like people younger than me, like still in high school, which this Spider-Man is really young, just even compared to the last Spider-Man and the Spider-Man before that. Like we keep going back a generation. So it's believable that someone Peter's age would refer to that as a really old movie. But at the same time, we also don't know like how pop culture has been affected by these franchises, because like we know that we know that Star Wars is in the MCU, but are the prequels in the MCU? Because Mace Windu is played by Samuel L. Jackson, so we don't know if like their pop culture mirrors ours up to a point that cuts and ends. It's really confusing. That's why I choose not to think about it.
That gets real weird if you're like.
Rasco, you're thinking about this exactly like I would, man. That's
no. I like the rabbit hole of like Pulp Fiction doesn't exist because of Sam Jackson.
Yeah, or it's like a different actor.
Okay, but sorry, I have to say this. But if it does, then anybody that goes to the graveyard from the end of Winter Soldier is going to be like, why is there a Pulp Fiction reference on this gravestone?
That's true. But I also I want to know what the biggest movie in 2018 in the MCU is.
Yeah.
What is the big movie that they're all excited to see? What is Peter dying to see in 2018?
Well, you know how you're always talking about in comics how you want to see how superheroes in this world actually, or like in supernatural stuff, actually affects the culture and how it wouldn't look exactly precisely like we do. I would love to, they'll never do this. I want them to do something about like Hollywood is collapsing because nothing took the place of superhero
Spider-Man's
movies, right?
the movie to explore this stuff, right?
Yes, it is. I guess it's just Star Wars. I guess we still have Star Wars, so Hollywood's okay. We still have Disney.
Yeah. I have a whole thing with the MCU and one
Disney
specific
get
movie.
Star
What does that
Wars
movie
in
look
this
like?
universe? Because I don't know if Disney gets Star Wars if they don't get Marvel.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's good Star Wars movies possibly being made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe they got Star Wars earlier. You don't know.
I don't think Lucas would have given up earlier.
Well, yeah, probably not.
Not to get into the mental state of the man, but I don't think he gives it up before he gets it up.
But there's butterfly effect. You don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Do the prequels even get made? Maybe they're really good because Sam Jackson and Natalie Portman aren't in them, and somehow that changes.
Nothing against them, but
yeah, I'm not saying taking them out makes me better. I mean, butterfly effect.
Rasco, I've never thought about that. That's hilarious.
Mace Windu's played by Ving Rhames.
Rasco, any other big aspects you wanted to bring up that we haven't touched on?
I don't know. I can't think of any, honestly.
Okay, well, I guess that's going to do it for us then. We'll go ahead and wrap up. Why is Gamora? Oh, my God. Everything Drax does is great.
Yeah. No,
there's not one thing Drax does that doesn't make me laugh out loud. Somebody asked earlier, I'm sorry, I forget who it was, what the thing was that I mentioned and how we felt about that in the theater. I groaned audibly and you knew what I was talking about. I don't remember it now.
It's when Thanos gives his backstory and his reason for doing things.
Oh, is that
yeah? That's where you in the theater was like. That was his live reaction to Thanos explaining his philosophy.
That's how I felt about it. Side flip.
To be fair, we read Infinity Gauntlet like 2 days before the movie.
Yeah,
Fresh in your mind.
It's not what I wanted. It doesn't mean that it's bad on the face of it. And I appreciated Thanos better on a second viewing, but it still doesn't look.
I also appreciate Thanos better on a second viewing.
I agree with you when you say that he's more that he's pretty much consistent within this movie,
except for the opening scene.
Other stuff before it, but there's still the issue of I don't know if I buy that he wouldn't come up with other alternatives. That's yeah. But anyway, well, everybody, thanks a lot for watching. We sure appreciate it. We had a big crowd tonight. It was great to see everybody, and I'm sorry that we didn't go through actual live comments as we went along, but without a chat moderator, that would have been really difficult for me. And we answered most of the Facebook and Twitter questions. They kind of stopped coming in about 15 minutes ago. So thanks so much, everybody, for watching. We sure appreciate it. Eric and I are going to go off now and record some Omnibus for you, and that'll be coming out throughout the week. And so look forward to that. I want to thank our guests for being here, Rasco and DJ. I hope you guys will come back again soon. And we don't do the live Spoilercast thing as often as we used to, but there will be other opportunities, of course. So anyway, once again, I am Captain Logan. This is Eric. And DJ, thanks for being here, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Rasco, it's always a pleasure, sir.
Peace out, everybody.
See you, folks.